Hey USHL fans, Josh Starr here, and welcome to another edition of the U Show. On this week's episode, we'll get you the players of the week and the top plays, and we'll look back at Mark Carlson's historic night for the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders. We'll also check on the Cowbell Cup standings with Dubuque on the verge of clinching a sixth straight title, and we'll see Dashiell Oliver's 13-game point streak for the Lincoln Stars. We'll have a conversation with the general manager of the Waterloo Blackhawks, Bryn Chyzyk, and we'll get you all up to date on the Four Nations tournament. Right now, we'll start the show with the USHL Players of the Week. This week's USHL Forward of the Week is Aiden Long from the Madison Capitals. In 3 games, Long had 2 goals and 7 assists for 9 points with a +8 rating. 3 points on Friday against Green Bay with a goal and 2 assists. And on Saturday against the Gamblers, a goal and 4 assists for a 5.9. Then on Sunday, adding another assist to finish off the weekend with 9 total points and 39 for the season, second on the Capitals. The USHL Defenseman of the Week is Martin Masha from the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders. 2 goals and 3 points in 3 games for Masha after a goal on Friday against Dubuque and 2 points on Saturday against Waterloo with a goal and an assist. Overall this season, Masha has 3 goals, 14 assists, and 17 points after joining Cedar Rapids in a trade earlier this season. The USHL Goaltender of the Week is AJ Raeltz from the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders. A 2-0 record on the weekend with a .962 save percentage and a 1.00 goals against. 24 for 26 in a win on Friday against Dubuque, and he backed that up with his 3rd shutout of the season, making 23 saves on Saturday against Waterloo. Overall this season, Raeltz has 15 victories for the Rough Riders. Those are the USHL Players of the Week, and we'll now take a look back at last week's action in the USHL. On Saturday, the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders head coach Mark Carlson set the record for most games coached in USHL history. In the 3-0 win over Waterloo, Carlson coached his 1,477th career game for the Rough Riders, breaking the previous record that PK O'Handley set in the USHL. The Dubuque Fighting Saints are within 1 point of clinching a 6th straight Cowbell Cup title and 9th overall. A loss by the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders against the Des Moines Buccaneers or Waterloo Blackhawks this weekend would clinch the title for Dubuque as they vie for another title in a competition between teams from Eastern Iowa. Lincoln Stars forward Dashiell Oliver enters this week with a 13-game point streak, the longest in the USHL this season. Over the course of those 13 games, 10 goals, 14 assists, and 24 points for Oliver. Overall this year, in 44 games, he has 19 goals and 40 points for the Lincoln Stars. Another great week of action in the USHL. It's now time for our interview in this week's show, and it is a conversation with the general manager of the Waterloo Blackhawks, Bryn Chyzyk.
In your path to becoming the GM of the Waterloo Blackhawks?
Yeah, I was very fortunate in graduating law school at North Dakota. I was looking to get into hockey, and I started out working as the director of scouting with PK O'Handley and Shane Fukushima. And then after 1 year, kind of was fortunate to grow into my role now as general manager. So super fortunate and really happy with where I'm at.
Was it a long-term goal for you from the start to get into this capacity when you're working under a guy like PK? He's got a lot of years, a lot of experience, or did you find it as you went?
Yeah, I think it's always been my goal to kind of have this type of job. Even as a young kid. Now, I didn't think as a young still I'd be in this role already, but like I said earlier, very fortunate to be in the position I'm in.
What was your background? I mean, I know North Dakota, you mentioned that, but even prior to that, as a kid, did you play? What level did you play? When did you start to think, am I a player? Do I want to be in management?
Yeah, I think I was probably more into the scouting and that side of it, even when I was a player. So I grew up in Virden, Manitoba, which is a small town on the western side of the province, and I was kind of a late developer that was able to get a scholarship to play in North Dakota. You know, I came down to the USHL to play for the Fargo Force and went to North Dakota, so I'm slowly moving south as I get older.
When you talk about the USHL, which you do quite a bit to recruit kids, etc., what's your pitch? How do you sell the league?
The league is so deep and competitive. Every single night it's an absolute dogfight in our league. And, that hardness can be difficult for kids right away, but the kids that battle through it and overcome it, we know are ready to succeed in college. And I don't think any other league is really set up like we are for that.
With the landscape having recently changed and kids having different avenues to explore as they look at their development, what can you say about the runway that the USHL affords? And in your experience, have you seen that pay off?
Yeah, I think the runway of the USHL is fantastic. We have a whole bunch of different players that are on different timelines and different development paths. I think that's what makes our league extremely unique. We have a 16-year-old defenseman on our team right now that's playing outstanding for us, and we have 19-year-old rookies on our team right now that are also being key contributors. So I think that those different development paths and kind of combining them together makes the USHL so unique.
What about the day-to-day as a general manager? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I guess every day is a little bit different in my role. I think right away early in the morning, I like to check with the coaching staff and see how things are with our current group, and then usually try and find some video to kind of watch in the afternoon, and then usually drive into a Minnesota high school game or traveling somewhere to watch at night. So it's a little bit chaotic at times, but a lot gets accomplished.
Long term, what are your responsibilities? What do you leave on your desk and you know that it's something you got to get to in maybe a year and a half down the road? What does that look like?
Ooh, there's quite a bit. I'm sure my wife has a long list too of stuff I'm not doing. I don't know. I guess like all the camp stuff and our summers and off season is busy too, right? And there's so much going on in the hockey world throughout the winter season that some of that stuff can get pushed off and those things come up quick.
What are some of the biggest challenges you face as a GM?
Yeah, I think, managing a junior hockey team with young kids, there's going to be ups and downs, right? There's hard days in this league, and managing kids through that is very difficult. And it's not all roses, right? So kind of dealing with each of those individual situations can be difficult at times, but I'm getting better at it as I go.
Is it a lot of off-ice stuff that you have to handle too? Is it maybe more than you expected, or you had a good insight into that when you assumed the role?
Yeah, I think there was a lot more that goes into my job than I realized at first. Growing up, I was like, it'd be fun to draft a team and make trades, right? But that's a very small percentage of the job. It's development plans, it's managing a staff, and recruiting budgets and everything else. So there's definitely a lot more that goes into it than I originally thought.
Midterm rankings just dropped. Waterloo Blackhawks are very well represented among the USHL teams on that list. Can you speak to a couple of the players that have stood out for your team this season?
Yeah, we were really happy to see those guys get recognized by the NHL. I guess I'll start with Brendan McMorrow, a player who played for the NTDP last year, has come to us and he's been an excellent fit for us. He's a rock star kid who works extremely hard and he kind of fits our culture, so that's been a great fit. Brady Peddle, as a first-year defenseman, has been outstanding. A big left shot D that has NHL scouts really excited, so I'm happy for him to be partaking in this game here tonight. Matthew Lansing, a kid that was not drafted in Phase 1, got overlooked at that point. We picked him up as a free agent, and he's been having an excellent 17-year-old year. And then the two other guys, we traded for a goalie from Omaha, Cameron Hendrickson. Really excited about him. He's just new to our club. And then also bringing over forward Alex Misiak from Slovakia, which he's yet to play a game, but we're excited to get him in the lineup.
I want to ask you this too, because of the scouting background, as you look at 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, you're probably seeing something much different than you anticipate seeing 3-4 years down the road. So what areas are you willing to compromise in, and what areas do you say you need to have that for me to take a longer look at you? Yeah,
at the end of the day, it's difficult projection when you're having to draft 15-year-old kids, right? I think some of the staples that we look for in our organization are the character piece and the competitive piece. That's kind of the floor for us. You need those qualities to be a part of our organization. And then you get into the more finer details of the game, like skating and puck touches and hockey IQ, and trying to find different skill sets to build a team.
And then as we're here at the All-American game, of course, so speaking about the American player, just what's been your experience in communicating with parents that do have the ability to make an 8-hour drive to see their kid without taking their passport with them versus maybe an alternative situation?
Yeah, I think, people don't understand how much the USHL has grown over the past 10, 20 years. I'm a Canadian guy myself, and the growth of USA hockey has been incredible. You have players spread out throughout the whole country, and we're jamming them into 15 teams in our league, and it creates a really exciting product. So I think getting out to see a game is a fantastic option for anyone, and I think our product's really good right now.
Thanks to Bryn Chyzyk for his time here on the U Show this week, and now we'll get you the USHL top plays from last week.
Thinks down in the offensive zone for Madison. Toe drag, a chance. Scored! Ian Scherzer grabs Madison the lead. Less than a minute after the Caps tie it. Scherzer's third of the weekend makes it 2-1 Caps.
Point. Back into the feet of Astapovich. Up high for Vig. Across backside feed, and Husjibi was stopped by Spunar. And a fantastic save by Spunar, perhaps aided by the fact that Husjibi did not get everything on that shot.
Lee lost it. Park slot, backdoor. Karko! Gino Carcone! He got loose behind the defense and
Here's Harrington. Bakar right behind him. Drop pass to Bakar. In front. Harrington. It trickles through. Harrington didn't quite get a stick on it, but he finds a way, and it's in. 5-1 Lincoln with 1:36 to go here in the second period.
Caps up that far side, feed it ahead for Aiden Long behind the defense. A chance shorthanded for Long. Aiden Long backhand, forehand, scores! Aiden Long ties us at 4. Madison's 8th shorthanded goal of the season. For Long, it's goal number 14. Ties us at 4 aside. The top power play unit in the Eastern Conference.
Gockler near wall now. He'll have Reiniger down low, a chance. Dyer, backdoor score! Arseny Marchenko. What a pretty goal that was. And Aiden Dyer also on that primary.
Game due to his fight with Brendan Ty, and Aiden Long had a shorthanded goal last night. He'll have a chance at one tonight. Long shot, scored! Back-to-back games with shorthanded goals. Aiden Long, 19 seconds into the kill.
Puck knocked away by Moore. Here comes Javon Moore in a breakaway. Moore, left circle, shoots, he scores! Javon Moore does it again! A breakaway goal! And the Stampede have regained the lead! It's 2-1! Moore does it himself. He knocks it away at the blue line, goes coast to coast, fakes.
Carrying it out of his own sheets. Ahead to Aggerter, back to Sheets. He's got a lane, he shoots and he scores. Nice puck movement there for the Lancers as they came out of their own zone. Sheets and Aggerter went back and forth, and Aggerter gained this line, then slid it over to Sheets, who had a step on the defender, and he buries it.
Those are the top plays from last week's action in the USHL. Now we'll look ahead at the standings and for what's to come this week in USHL action. As we take a look at the USHL standings, we'll check in on this week's schedule. First, in the Eastern Conference, a big series between Youngstown and Muskegon. The Phantoms hosting the Lumberjacks, and the second place team in the East, Muskegon, with 59 points, visiting the fourth place team, Youngstown, with 55 points for a pair of games at the Covelli Center this weekend. In the Western Conference, the Sioux Falls Stampede will take on the Lincoln Stars for the third time over a week stretch. They split the first two contests last weekend, and they enter this week's matchup as the first and second place teams in the Western Conference. Lincoln leading the conference with 63 points, and Sioux Falls just behind in second. We'll wrap up the show this week with an update on the Four Nations tournament and the 19 USHL alumni participating in the competition. 18 of those 19 are on Team USA, and they will all go for the championship against Team Canada on Thursday. 5 of the top 10 scorers in the tournament, USHL alumni. That does it for this week's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Josh Starr, and we'll see you next week on The U Show.